Good morning, students. Welcome to the 12th series of the Run at the Rate 100. On the behalf of Student Skill Enrichment Board of Studies Operation, I welcome our dignified speaker of the day. Today, the webinar series on the Run at 100. The topic is the future of the CA profession, emerging trend and opportunities. I welcome CEO Narvarekar for the session, and he's a past CEO of the startup, which has raised more than rupees 500 crore in the funding. He remains the guest judge of the MasterChef India jury at so many members and the jury of the education competitions conducted by the Board of Studies time to time. I welcome you, sir. He is a speaker at the faculty of the management communication skills and conducted the train the trainer options conducted by the Board of Studies. So I welcome Suyog Narvekar for the session. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. My bad. Let us begin this session, and just to see if I'm audible and people are there, just drop me a comment in the comment box as to what do you think. What's the first thing that comes to your mind when I say the word chartered accountant? Come on. What's the first thing that comes to your mind when I say the word chartered accountant? Drop me some answers in the comment box if you can do so. I'll see who all is there. We can have a great interaction before we begin. Am I audible? Am I audible, Madam Secretary?
You're audible, sir. And students are posting their questions.
Oh, but maybe I'm not able to see them. No problem. Let's start. I'll just begin the session. So I will not be able to see their questions, is it? Am I audible?
Yes,
am I audible, Madam Secretary?
You're audible, sir.
Okay, no worries. I'll do that. So let us start with today's topic. It is called as CA 2.0. No problem. Let's start. The evolution begins. Many of you must know that I'm sure it's there in your studies. It was there in mine when I was a CA student. In the IT SM part, we used to have something called as social media 2.0, right? So how social media evolved from just being where people post to now a very interactive platform. Similarly, chartered accountancy and its profession has also now started evolving, whereby a lot of changes are going on, and you can see on my screen it says that the CA profession is transforming from audit and tax to capital strategy and tech. Okay, so let me first clarify. It doesn't mean that we are not doing audit and tax anymore. Of course, we are doing audit and tax. That's always been our bread and butter. But it is now going to go forward. CAs, chartered accountants need to switch a mindset which will take them from compliance to value adders. So till date with audit, tax, we are focused towards the compliance part of the business. But as the market is growing, I feel we should align ourselves more towards the value creation part, where we add value to our client's business, and that is how we earn our bread and butter. Let us see what we have to do throughout our careers to see where we are and what we do and how do we proceed to being a CA 2.0. Let us start. The first thing that we need to do is reevaluate. Okay, so that's the first step, right? If someone tells you, Suyog, you need to change, Suyog, you are doing this, then the first thing that you need to do is look within and evaluate as to what is going on. So practice is evolving, obviously. Like I said, I'll give you a short story. When I was doing my articleship, there was always this, concept that, Suyog, if you want to go into practice, the first thing you need to do is get an experience of everything that chartered accountants do. This was called as traditional practice. This is still called as traditional practice, whereby they tell you, why don't you do a little bit of audit? Why don't you do a little bit of tax? Why don't you do a little bit of ROC, VAT? Where it was VAT when I studied GST. Take experiences of everything so that when you start your own practice, you can give an answer to everything. That is what was called being a jack of all trades of everything. A CA was required to have knowledge throughout the finance spectrum. But cut to today, I will give you an example. Uh, I have a friend, a very dear friend of mine. She is at a very high position with the Big Four and has worked in audit throughout her life from her articleship days to now she's a director at Big Four. So throughout that glorious, and I often tend to ask her, don't you think as a chartered accountant, you should be able to file your income tax returns? And she very blatantly says, no, Suyog, I don't think so. I mean, of course, I know what the basics are, but I like to get it done from a professional. But my job is to get audits done. And I am one of the, and she is, for the fact, one of the foremost voices in Mumbai when it comes to audit. So that old strata where you should know everything is slowly fading out. I'll tell you why. We'll come to it. Why is it fading out? But let's first find out what to do, right? So, if not do everything, do what? The answer is you should, the newer age practices are trying to focus more on specialization. I see that is missing in today's articles as well. So, whenever in our firm, when articles come for interview, I've always seen they want to do a little bit of everything. I want to try audit, I want to try tax के season में tax, in audit season I want to do audit. Great, superb. But the real money these days is in specialization. Look at firms, the newer age firms. I'm not talking about the old big firms. The newer age firms, when they come in with specialization. Okay, so you can say, see, I've listed some areas of practice where you can be a master of one. Instead of doing generic audit, you can do forensic audit. Instead of doing generic tax compliance return filing, you can become a GST litigator. And maybe instead of doing accounting, you can be a CFO or a virtual CFO of a company. So a lot of new practice areas. Of course, we'll see at it. So first of all, have a look within. Do we really want to do? I'll give you one another example. Let's take standards. Okay, don't hold me to on a gunpoint on this. I'm sure things vary at different places, but let's just say you are a fresher chartered accountant and you have completed your articleship in a jack of all trades firm. Okay, where you have done audit, tax, everything is done. And when you say go into consulting today, or maybe to find a job, let's not talk about practice right now. If you go to find a job, the first thing that they'll ask is, oh, and let's say you are finding a job into, say, GST. You are applying for corporate GST advisory, etc. The first thing they ask is, oh, you don't have a lot of GST experience in your CV. Have you not done GST? You say, of course, I've done GST. Whenever the return filing season came or the annual 99C season came, I did my GST. But then this is not extensive experience, is what the answer that you get. And suddenly, say if the average chartered accountant's CTC, let's say it's at 9 lakhs today. Uh, if you have that certain specialization, if 3 years or 2 years of articleship, whatever that is right now, for you, if both years of your articleship are done, all years of your articleship are done in GST, you are bound to get more pay when you go for a job. Even practices for that matter, practices for that matter, these days are evolving where people want specialized practices. If I go to a person with a doubt on GST, they should know GST through and through. That is what most of the clients are expecting today. Why do we do that? Why specialization? It is very simple. There's better money. Uh, just doing compliance, generic return filing, that is not something a chartered accountant will be required to do, let's say 10 years from today. 10 years before, maybe yes, chartered accountants were looked upon for doing your income tax returns, VAT, service tax returns, whatever there was 10 years ago. But going forward, if you look at it, I give this wonderful example that when I started my articleship, I did it in 2011, 2012. We used to have income tax returns. Let's just take an example of ITR 1. the most basic income tax return, used to write it by hand. Then someone used to check it. Then finally the partner used to again review it, and then there was a guy who used to take it physically, go to the income tax department and get it stamped. Uh, as things progressed, uh, this came to online. We used to fill an Excel form online and it used to get uploaded. Then we have to take a print and again go and submit it. That was the process. Then it went to a Java based file where we did not have to go physically and submit it. We used to just press upload and it used to go upload. Skip forward to today. You don't even have a Java file. You just have an income tax portal. You go there. You don't even fill information these days. There was a time when people used to hire people to fill ITR forms, but today no one. You just have to click next, next, next. I agree to the income that has been showed, and you put submit. That is how our CA profession has evolved. And surely the future goes like that ki, instead of you showing return on an income tax on the income tax portal, the income tax portal will ask you this. I feel this is your income for the year. Do you agree? When we reach this stage, and we have reached it for ITR1, I'm sure for the other ITRs also it will happen soon enough. But when we reach this stage, do you think chartered accountants, the very expensive chartered accountants, would be required to file a measly income tax return to do next, next, next and submit? No. This part will go on to the lesser educated ones, and we have to evolve from that part and then look at our role as advisors, our role as litigators. It's very simple. uh, there's AI can give you every answer. There was a time when information was power, but now information is everywhere and with everyone. I'll give you a quick example. uh, Today, if a doctor prescribes me medicine, I don't know what the medicine is. I quickly ask ChatGPT, it tells me what are the ingredients, what are the side effects. That information is available. But can I ask ChatGPT to treat me? Not yet. I'm sure it must be there, getting developed somewhere in the back end. But as of today, no, it cannot. Same happens with a chartered accountant, right? If you're just giving knowledge, if you're just doing compliance, a machine will come and replace you. But that super specialization, that advisory, that presentation of knowledge is what will command more money in the market than just possession of knowledge. Previously, in the good old days, the 90s, the 2000s, chartered accountants were rewarded because we possessed a lot of knowledge. Today, we are not going to get rewarded for possession of knowledge. There are enough sources to do that. Today, we are going to get rewarded only and only if we can apply the knowledge, and two, we can present the knowledge properly. That is where the money is going to be. So that is something that we need to absolutely reevaluate. So how do you make big firms, right? So you're saying that you should only do specialization, you should only do super specialization, GST to GST karo. Then how do I give clients, how do I make a big four of my own? Right? That's what big fours are known for, right? Once the client walks in, they provide all sort of services. So there was I don't know how many of you know that, or I don't know even if it's public knowledge, but long time ago, the finance ministry along with ICAI had called some big firms from the industry, and they gave them a challenge that become the big 10 of India. Not the big four of the world, but at least the big 10 of India. They wanted to create big 10 firms in India. How do you do that? The answer is very simple. You do it with power of collaboration. You have a Let's say I am an expert. I'm not, but let's say I'm an expert in GST, and there's CAA who loves direct tax. There's CAB who's great with finance. There's CAC who's outstanding with audit. We all can come together and form a firm. That is where that is where the future lies. You will see a lot of specialized firms springing up, and then merging together to form something called as maybe a network firm or a lead firm. These concepts have been defined by ICAI. You should definitely look into it. Uh, Networking firms or lead firms, which will act as a centralized firm by which you can create a larger network of firms. So go and look at that. The power of collaboration is great. Of course, that's a topic more for chartered accountants. But right here, since we are in BOS, we are more student centric. I would say you right now look at collaboration opportunities. You look at your friend who loves direct tax while you love GST. Look at your friend who loves finance while you love audit. This is where you should start looking as a CA student who wants to become a chartered accountant of the future and maybe form a big 10 firm in India. Next part is reskill. Absolutely important. Now that you have seen, you have reevaluated, Suyog has told you, don't just focus on your audit and tax, do this, do that. How do you do that? Right? There's a concept, there's a very superb concept called as a purple person. I forgot its name. There's this great consultancy firm who has coined this concept. I'm just trying to find it, but I'm not getting it. Anyways, so there's this great consultancy firm who has coined this concept, which is called as a purple person. What is a purple person? Okay. I can't see your answers over here. Can I? No, I cannot. So I'll not ask those questions. I wanted this to be more interactive, of course. But what is a purple person? A purple person, where is it? Why isn't it coming on the screen? Yeah. A purple person is someone with a blend of strong domain expertise plus tech skills. Why it is called a purple person? Uh, because uh, people with great domain expertise are called red people. People with great tech skills are called blue people, right? And when you combine them, you get what do you get when you combine red and blue? You get purple, right? You are a purple person. What is so you're talking about? Why is this even coming from? ये क्या बोले जा रहा है, right? Don't worry, I'll tell you. Okay, so first things first. Imagine, okay, I'll give you a case study to make you understand better what a purple person is. Imagine big corporation, let's say, Tesla comes to India, right? Tesla comes to India and comes here, sets up its base, a factory, rolls out new cars, but then they require that a software such as they want to develop their own ERP. Okay, they want to develop their own ERP system to cater to their company's financial needs, financial and accounting needs. Now, of course, they cannot just look at a coder to build accounting software, right? Of course not. They know coding. Of course, they can build softwares, but do they know accounting? No. Get a hardcore chartered accountant, knows accounts through and through. I don't think so. There's any profession in the country which knows accounting, taxation, finance, or whatever, anything in the finance domain better than a chartered accountant. Agreed. But can the chartered accountant sit and code? This is where purple people come in. Of course, the expectation from you is to not actually make a software, but understand the basics of making a software enough so that you can bridge the gap between what is the requirement and how to make it. This is what a purple person does. There are a lot of roles in the market right now. Companies like SAP, Oracle are hiring people with great financial knowledge and some tech knowledge or tech savvy people who can work in these platforms and make such fintech softwares. Okay, right? Fintech is a great buzzword these days. Who, what type of people are fintechs hiring? They're hiring purple people, people who are good. There's this people who are good, great with the finance domain, which we are, but that's not enough anymore. You have to be great with tech as well. So what do you do, right? What do you do? You learning Tally is not going to be you making you a purple people. You learning MS Office. I see a lot of CVs. People in their tech skill write MS Office. Oh my God, everyone knows MS Office. I have a 11-year-old niece who knows MS Office. You should not brag about it in your CV. Okay, so MS Office is, of course, it's such an essential skill these days that you cannot write about it in a CV. But what do you need, right? What do you need? You need to be absolutely hands-on with something called as Power BI. Now, all that is there in this list is not a part of our curriculum. And this is what will give you an edge over other chartered accountants. This is what you will make you a purple person. You can learn Power BI for creating great insights, right? You know, right? There is data. This is taught to you in SM. There's data that is processed turns into information, right? We are always, at least when I was being taught, people used to tell me, don't give people data. As a chartered accountant, you should give them information. But I think that time has changed now. As a chartered accountant, you should not just give them information. Information to a client who is neither red nor blue will make no sense. You have to analyze the information. Okay, next, data processed is information. Information, uh, putting some brain power, you can get analysis out of it. And with analysis, you can give them actionable insights. So Power BI is a software which can get the information arranged in such a way that insights will flow out of it. All those graphs, those diagrams, those dashboards, they are created using a software called as Power BI. It has its competitors such as Tableau, and more and more. Python is used for automation. It's not really it is of course a language, but it is a very simple language. It is a language which is made for people from the non-tech background. You must absolutely learn Python if you want to automate anything. In the good old days, we used to learn macros, but they're now gone. It is Python which is next. Okay, of course, Canva for design. I'm sure a lot of people are using it, but that's also one thing that you must absolutely. क्योंकि कैसे है, you want to make pitch decks in the future, and Canva is a great entry level tool to make that. And of course, ChatGPT and prompt engineering. ChatGPT again is a brand, I would say, generative AI. You must absolutely learn that. And something called as prompt engineering. I'm sure if there are 100 people in this room, 99 of them are using ChatGPT. The problem is you are not using ChatGPT as it should be used. The reason is that you don't know how to create a proper prompt. You can't give you can't say give a one-liner to ChatGPT saying, "Hey ChatGPT, make me a presentation on future of chartered accountants." ChatGPT will go wild, right? It will have no idea what you want. You have to engineer your prompt in such a way that it gives you the perfect answer, right? ChatGPT is like an ocean, and you need to find a pearl in it. You cannot just start anywhere. You need to fine tune it. You need to restrict it. You need to, focus, let it focus on the exact thing that you want. And that comes out with prompt engineering. You can give prompts like, you can give them demographic. I'm giving this session to chartered accountant students. I'm giving it at ICAI. I want I want a script which is funny. I want a script which is inspiring. You need to give it a lot of filters. You need to give it some thought. So this is what prompt engineering is about. Big topic in itself. I'm sure you can catch up and learn more about it. So just a quick reminder. Uh, you need using of tools is much greater than theory, and using of skills is much greater than syllabus. Of course, it's very easy to say when you're a chartered accountant, but of course, once you pass your exam, your syllabus means nothing. Once you pass your exams, theory means nothing. Skills and tools kick in. Of course, it means nothing because everyone has it. It's not just you who have it. Okay, I'll come to that. Don't worry. We are in a great degree. We get a lot of knowledge. We are much demanded in the market, but you need to get that extra edge, right? That's why we are here today. Okay, let's reimagine. Now that we have reskilled, let's reimagine. I've been telling you, not just audit tax, not just audit tax. So what do we do? Right? So a lot of different opportunities for chartered accountants. We'll take them one by one, and we'll see where does it go. First, this is not an exhaustive list. This is not everything a chartered accountant can do. These are just four things that I would like to talk about, which are easier for me to talk about. First is virtual CFO, booming market, right? I mean, I'll tell you where this stems from. Imagine a startup guy in Bangalore, passionate about their business. Okay, let's say the business is they are let's say they are aggregating some industry, some unskilled industry, right? And they are making a platform. Passionate people. But if you've met these passionate people in their lives, they have zero knowledge about accounting and finance. They have no clue about compliances. And then there are a lot of different consultants. Array, I do this, I do that. But they want one single window solution. They want someone to come in and be the CFO, that is the Chief Financial Officer of the company. Why not just hire a CFO? Because CFOs come expensive, right? Today, a good CFO, an experienced CFO takes what 5 to 6 lakhs a month minimum. Can a startup afford that? Absolutely not. So how do you do that? You create something called as a virtual CFO. One person taking care of multiple clients. Big hit right now in the market. Yeah, you can see virtual CFO, outsourced CFO firms popping left, right, and center. A very great, good opportunity for chartered accountants. क्या अलग करते हैं हम इसमें? कुछ अलग नहीं करते. What chartered accountants have been doing for ages, just a shift in mindset. Simple. जो काम हम करते थे वही करते हैं. Only the CFO is more value driven than compliance driven. Again, come to that point. A CFO is more value driven than compliance driven. What do I mean by that? Um, the CFO, not only does the CFO want the company to be compliant, the CFO is also responsible for its financial growth. Right? As traditional chartered accountants, we are not always responsible for the growth of the company or the growth of the business. We are more focused towards its compliance. But that changes with the CFO. A CFO is responsible for the company's growth, and that is where a chartered accountant needs to focus from here onwards. Of course, big deep dive into what a virtual CFO does. Not a lot of time today. Next up is startup advisors. A lot of time you will see that startups speak a different language altogether. Okay, so we have things like which are not a part of our curriculum, like how to restructure a cap table, how to make a pitch deck. Not a part of our curriculum, but something that we must absolutely know. How to value a company, right? Of course, we have that chapter where we get the DCF model. Then there's that net asset model, I remember. But that those models are great for theory. This is not how a VC or an angel investor will value a startup. They're not going to do just the DCF model. What do they actually do, right? Those valuation tips and tricks are completely different. So there is a different language. There's a different financial language that the startups talk. They talk about burn rates. They talk about run rates. I don't know. I became a chartered accountant. I started working with a startup. There's this MBA investor. He comes and on the first day, okay, he asks me, so what is your run rate? I'm like, what is a run rate? I was never taught about a run rate in my curriculum, but this is the language. A run rate is nothing but last 3 years turnover multiplied by 12. That becomes your annual run rate. Very simple formula, just different language. So it's not that we don't have the knowledge, it's that we need to keep updated with these recent terms. I don't know, I feel it. I'm not sure if you guys feel it, but there are a lot of new words that the Gen Z uses. It's very difficult. I am a though I don't do it full time, I am a part-time professor. It always, I always try to keep up with the students. But as a millennial, I find it very difficult to keep up with the terms of the Gen Z. It's the same thing. This is a new age of businesses. It's a new generation of businesses, and it is absolutely essential that you keep up with it. Okay, super. Startup advisor. Next up is ESG consultant. अब ये क्या होता है? It's a new field. I'm very sure you guys are aware about it. It's called I'm sorry. Yeah. So ESG, right? So ESG audits, environmental, social, and governance. This is the new buzzword. What do chartered accountants do in it? Well, a lot of ESG reporting is mandatory. There are ESG audits which are going to be mandatory, and this will again come into the kitty of chartered accountants. We have taken a great leap with respect to ESG. We have an entire committee dedicated as to how these standards can be cultivated, how these audits can be done. It's a completely new field. Like I said, it's beyond a traditional role for a chartered accountant. It's something that must absolutely be looked at. Okay, not the country as a whole may not be very positive about ESG, but globally, it is a big thing right now. Okay, and the last but not the least, of course, is forensic analyst. Uh, Somehow we were always in this role, but the role was not big enough. Let me rephrase it. We chartered accountants were already doing forensic analysis of financials, but till these days there was not a lot of demand for it. But now it is growing. Unlike the other three, right? There was no virtual CFO 10 years ago or 15 years ago. Startups buzzword started maybe again 10 years ago. ESG is very new, 4 5 years, I don't know. But forensic analysis was there since ages. It's just a bigger market now. And chartered accountants are absolutely, because unlike other presentations, other places, in forensic analysis, the core depth of knowledge is more important than anything, and there's no one better in the market than a chartered accountant who has more knowledge. So forensic analysis is like our big forte, which we should absolutely look into. What do you do to get into these places, right? I mean, let's quickly rehash. What you want to do, virtual CFO, your finance game has to be strong. Okay, so you can do courses of Power BI, of Tableau. You can have your extra courses in financial management. Not the markets part of it, but the FP&A, that is the financial planning and analysis part of it, needs to be strong. Next up is startup advisory. There are a lot of big players in the market who will teach you how to work around. There's something called as a Y Combinator and a lot of other things which are there. ESG, ICAI's ESG course is outstanding. I know a couple of people who have done it. There's a certificate course. You can always look up at it. And forensic analyst, again, ICAI has a course for you to become to get into forensic audits. So look up on that. These additional courses over and above your CA degree will help you notch that niche career or that super specialized career in non-traditional roles. Okay. Now that we are done with Reimagine, let's see what's next. Realign. Okay. So absolutely important again. Now that we have reevaluated, we have reskilled, we have what was the third one? We have reimagined. Now we need to realign ourselves. First, like I said, I'm just going to quickly recap. To shift your focus from compliance to capital advisory. Okay, capital advisory is just one thing. You shift your focus from compliance, but play with money, right? That's what we are here for. The key skills that are required to enter the startup and funding ecosystem. Okay, we are just here talking about the startup and funding ecosystem, which is said to be the biggest. So if you watched our Prime Minister say this, this decade is going to be the decade of Indian startups. We have already a lot. There was finance, no, not finance minister. Piyush Goyal recently talked about Indian startups wanting to go into deep tech. A lot of Indian startups coming up. So this is where the next economic boom is going to come for India. And as chartered accountants, we are partners in nation building. And when the nation builds on startups, we also need to start building our skills on startups. So that is where you shift your focus from just compliance, because compliance, of course, everyone wants compliance. You have to do compliance. Compliance is non-negotiable, but that doesn't mean you stop giving value-added services, right? Like you shift your focus not just from compliance to now capital advisory to help startups enrich and enhance their capital. What are the key skills that are required? Start dealing with cap tables. Cap tables, matlab, cap tables stand for literally capital table. Uh, so let's say I start a startup. I have 100% equity today. Um, I'm doing well. That's 2 crores, 3 crores, 5 crores of turnover in 2 years. Now I'm looking for funding. So now I go to a chartered accountant and I ask, hey, I want to dilute my equity. I want to get in more money. How much do I dilute? How much do I keep for whom? Of course, I need to keep some for my investors. I need to keep some for myself. I need to keep some for, so these are early stage investors. I need to keep something for the VC. I need to keep something for ESOP share, right? I mean, for my employees to attract great talent in my startup. So all these restructuring, आगे जाके dilute करना पड़ा तो किसका dilute होगा? How much of my share will be diluted? How much of investor share will be diluted? All this planning is done in cap tables. Next is, of course, ESOPs. Super duper demand these days, since every startup comes in, they come in with ESOPs to attract talent. ESOPs are employee stock option plans. Let's say there's a startup who's doing, say, around 10 crore or a 15 crore turnover in a year. Great promise, great valuations. Now it wants to attract great talent. How do they do that? They want, let's say, I'm creating the next groundbreaking Zomato. Okay, in food delivery, I have created something great. I've already done 15 crores in a year. Now I want to get Zomato's CTO, Chief Technology Officer. I am great with the operations. I'm a chartered accountant. I ace finance. Tech, not so much. Now I want to get Chief Technological Officer from Zomato. How do I do that? He's like, Zomato, big company, big pay. Why will I come to you? The answer is simple. I'll give you stock options. He doesn't, of course, they may have stock options in Zomato, but let's imagine they don't, right? They are working at an even bigger company. If you say they're working at Hindustan Unilever, no stock options, heavy pay, heavy salary, but no stock options. Now come to me, instead of getting that 10x salary, your share can go 100x, right? If my startup booms and you are a part of it. So that is how ESOPs work. A lot of not a lot of chartered accountants today design ESOPs. Great opportunity to do that. I remember in my articleship days, I had one opportunity to design 3 or 4 ESOP schemes. Wonderful, wonderful. Those days, the person that I used to work for used to not get a lot of ESOP job. That's why it was always a side practice. But these days, everyone is doing ESOPs, and it's a great practice today. Of course, fundraising. Again, in our curriculum, not a lot of things about fundraising, how to raise funds, what are. I remember again, fresh blue-eyed chartered accountant in 2018. Good startup scene in India. I went before they told me that I was CEO of a startup. That was past, of course. Nowadays, I work with a consulting firm. But when I was interviewing with a startup, they asked me. They didn't ask me. They were talking about how they're done with their Series B funding. They're looking for Series C funding, and I thought that's a jargon. And I stupidly asked, "What is Series B funding?" Got rejected straight away. There are some things that you are supposed to know, right? And I thought it was not that thing. But then Series A funding, Series B funding. What is the difference between VC funding, angel funding? What is seed funding, pre-seed funding? Then what kind of people invest? What is the difference between angel fund, VC fund, Cat 1 AF, Cat 2 AF, Cat 3 AF? All jargons I know I am throwing out at you, but these are not jargons. These are everyday lingo of a startup funding guy. If you don't know it today, take this as a wake-up call and try to find out what these are. Okay, of course, we talked about valuation as to what kind of valuations. I'm not going to repeat it, different types of valuations in the startups. Industry said pure CAs need startup exposure to stand out. That's what I just told you. Do an internship in a startup. Super. I mean, of course, this cannot be with your articleship. You're not allowed to do that. But maybe before articleship or say after articleship, after giving your CA final before your results. Great time, right? You're unencumbered. You're not supposed to do articleship in the 2-year domain, but you have not yet got your result. Great time to do an internship with a startup. Okay. Again, which startup would you love to work with or for? That would have been a great question if you could have answered. Uh, and finally, I know I'm running out of time. The last one is re-rise, build a personal brand. Your CA degree is only the foundation. If you think that being a chartered accountant, you have achieved everything and you need to stop, then you're grossly mistaken. Even in chartered accountancy, there's called as something called as continuous professional education. That's the CPE. You have to do CPERs, but of course, those are ICI mandated formalities. But you need to do lifelong learning. Your degree is only your base. Okay, you need. I'm going to skip this a little bit. I want to go. I'm not saying when you become a creator, don't because I don't mean to say you need to absolutely become an influencer. You need to keep creating content in what you believe in, what you think, because of course information is dime a dozen. It's how you present it, what is your thought process towards it. So be a creator, okay, not just a influencer, a creator. There are two types of hobbies. I always tell, there's a consumption hobby, there's a creative hobby. Watching Netflix, consumption hobby. uh, but maybe painting or sketching, creation hobby. So try to do a lot of creative. Reading is consumption, writing is creation. So try to do a lot of creator things. Then uh, we talked about capital advisory, and now we're going to do about communication. Absolutely important. Even before there was a thing of purple people. Always something that was important and give you an edge was your communication skills. You cannot neglect that. I tell you, three things are absolutely most important after your degree. Extra skills, we talked about that. Purple people, you get Power BI, then you need communication, and finally you need tech. You have these three things, there's nothing stopping you from a great career ahead. Okay. Uh, Lastly, a quick call to action. The CA degree uh, is like your ticket to the IPL match, but that's all. It's just a ticket. You have to build your own stadium. I always tell people it's just the beginning of the race. It is not the end. After that, you have to pick a niche, learn the tools, and build your brand around it. Whatever your niche is, it can be virtual CFO, it can be audit, it can be GST compliance, GST advisory. Pick a tool, pick a niche, learn the tool, and build your brand around it. Be the top voice. If tomorrow someone thinks I need the best GST advisor, your name should come up. Why will it come up? Because you have built your brand around it. And then I would have loved to ask you which of the skills that I mentioned would you like to start this week. And I think you should absolutely start this week with respect to what skills that you require. Okay. Finally, just a quick recap. First, reflect or reevaluate. Then you need to start reskilling yourself, reimagine what you want as your career, and then rise and take charge. That's it for me. It's perfect 4:45, as Dr. Chanda had requested me to stop at. And this is where we start taking questions. If you have any questions, please put them to the institute and they'll forward it to me. They have already forwarded some questions to me, which I'll start taking now. And as and when you can, if you have any more questions, please keep sending it to where you are sending right now. They are reaching me, and I'll take them one by one. The first question is, what is one opportunity that you are most excited about in the evolving CA landscape? Uh, it has to be virtual CFO. Uh, it's 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 what chartered accountant has been doing since inception, rebranded into something which is very new, right? बाहर से पूछो, everyone talks about having a CFO of their own, but CAs have been doing that job for ages. It's not a lot of extra efforts that we have to put. We just have to rebrand it a little bit and present it with a different mindset. Not a mindset of compliance first, but a mindset of business first. So I'm really excited about that. What opportunities are there for CAs in ESG, environmental, social, and governance reporting? I think we covered most of it, but yeah, big opportunity over there. I know for a fact that a lot of venture capitalists today want their startups to be ESG compliant. Basically, they want startups which are sustainable. Not just sustainability startups. Of course, there are different sustainability startups. Like recently, I dealt with a startup which makes solar pumps for villages. That's a sustainability startup altogether. Uh, Great job. But startups, which let's say I have a startup of say hair fall shampoo, right? Anti-hair fall shampoo. And even my VC would want that startup to be ESG compliant, not to maybe use test the products on animals, not to use plastic disposable bottles, all that stuff, right? So great scope over there as well. Just great question that how can CAs transition into strategic business advisory roles? Super question. Uh, the first thing that you do is you change your mindset, right? What I don't see a lot of students doing when I deal with them is they don't ask why, right? Uh, or they don't try to get into the business aspect of the assignment. I remember I was working with this article. He used to work in the GST department of the firm that I work with. I asked him, this XYZ client, you have filed the GST return? Like, yes, I have. I've been doing it for 2 years. What business do they do? No idea, right? So it's you cannot be a blind-eyed person. Like data comes in, I do filing. If that's your role, mindset, you're never getting into strategic business advisory roles. You have to be a very business first mindset. You have to have a business first mindset. Then, of course, there are different types of experiences that you get in the market, whereby your role it's of course a built up role, and in the end, your mindset is going to propel you into that strategic business advisory role. It's as simple as that. How can CAs collaborate with other professionals to create value in the future? Uh, we can absolutely we can. There are a lot of there is a rule change which says that we can now form multidisciplinary firms. Of course, the rule has come from ICAI. The others are yet to follow through. So, in the future, maybe not so far from now, you can see a partnership where a CA, CS, and a lawyer are partners. Not that people are not already doing it. Of course, you can't do it with a firm that does audit. Quintessential CA firm can't do it. But you can see a lot of consulting firms who offer these services together. Okay. They are not CA firms very technically because ICAI though allows it, but the other firms don't. But you can always see consulting firms. You can see all of the big fours, right? They'll have a legal department, they'll have a tech department, they'll have a tax department as well. So all of them are working together. Great way to collaborate, and that is how you create value, right? A person comes into your organization, they get everything. That's the future. Will automation reduce the demand for CAs or create new opportunities? Very classic question. Where every time a new groundbreaking technology comes in, this question arises. I remember way back, it was even before my time, but I remember my professors telling me this story that when the ERPs came in, right, your enterprise resource planning, your software, your accounting softwares, they said that accounting is dead. There will not be any need of accountants after 10 years, is what they said. This was in the late 90s, early 2000s. skip to 2025, we still have accountants. We still have problem of not having good accountants, right? That's why chartered accountants are paid very highly to do accounting at some places, because there are not enough good accountants. What happened, right? Tech came in. So it's not that demand for CAs is going to go down. Demand for CAs, what CAs do right now is going to go down, and new opportunities will keep arising. That's what happened when SAP came in, when Tally came in. वो हाथ से लाल चौपड़े लिखना बंद हो गया. But then accounting and Tally was a course altogether. Similarly, it's a great line by Elon Musk. He said, AI is not going to replace jobs, or not going to take jobs. AI is only going to take jobs where people can't use AI. Very simple. Very simple. It's going to take jobs if you can't use AI. So, automation and artificial intelligence, great, good, but it's not going to reduce the demand for CAs. It's going to change the type of opportunities. Next question is, beyond taxes and audits, what are the most promising new services CAs can offer? I think I dealt with it extensively in the slide. I'm not going to touch base on that again. We have a lot of other questions and I have 10 minutes more. What challenges do CAs face due to changing tax laws worldwide? First of all, I don't think that's a very valid question. Uh, See, challenges. I think let's deal with the challenges part first. I don't think so. It's a challenge. In fact, more the tax laws change, more your demand rises. More the complex the tax system, more people want a chartered accountant. First of all, it's not challenge. For especially for a chartered accountant, there is no challenge if the tax laws are changing. It's bread and butter. Seriously, because and please don't call me out for that. When VAT came, practices boomed. When GST came, practices boomed. New income tax bill in order. God, my God, the bill was not passed. There were courses that were lined up by our very own institute, because we know that it's going to bring in good business. So definitely not a problem. I don't think so. Next question. What soft skills will be most valuable for future CAs? See, the problem that I've seen with chartered accountants at times is, many a times we know things, right? We know finance like the back of our hand. The problem is presenting it, right? So I feel absolutely must is presentation skills. Uh, then within presentations, two types of skills. One is the part where you explain, and one is the part which, making a good pitch deck, a slide, a PPT. Those two skills I feel are one of the most important skills for a chartered accountant. Immediately followed by interpersonal communication, right? So talking one on one with the client. That is the second most important skill after presentation skills. And the third would be public speaking, of course. To create a brand, to create your own story, you need to narrate it to a lot of people. Three types of communication skills. First, presentation. Second, interpersonal. Third, public speaking. Should CAs consider specializations like cybersecurity and digital marketing? My dear friend, whosoever has asked these questions, CAs have already done that. I know quite a lot of chartered accountants who deal especially in cybersecurity. I am a chartered accountant who, I wouldn't say I'm specialized, but I lead a department in our firm, in our consulting firm, which does digital marketing. So, so everyone is doing it, and if you think you should consider or not consider, then you should definitely consider. It's not. I'm not saying specializations, but this is what makes you a purple person. Okay, so yeah. How can CAs maintain trust when AI handles most of number crunching? That is again a misconception. Uh, do you know AI? So AI in its best form today, publicly available. Of course, there are a lot of superior forms which are not available to us. Your chat GPTs, your Claudes, your uh, and your Geminis and whatnot, they are something called as LLMs. It's a large language model. Can you catch the word language? It is today only expert in language. Okay, it might be a language that we speak, that is English, Hindi, Marathi. It can be a coding language like, I don't know, Python's, and I don't know a lot of coding languages. Not really a purple person when it comes to coding. But yeah, it's a language model. It is horrible with number crunching right now. Trust me, it is horrible. I have tried it. I do take courses on prompt engineering, but even with all my knowledge, I'm sure it's not a lot of AI knowledge, but it's not that great at number crunching. If you as a chartered accountant are relying solely on uh, large language models today to do number crunching, please reconsider yourself. It will come in the future. I'm not saying it's not capable of it, but as of today, it's not that great with handling large data sets. Usko give ChatGPT one line of data set, it will do your number crunching for you. Give it 1500 lines of data set. After first 4 or 5 lines, everything will be wrong. Trust me, it's not capable of doing it today. What ethical challenges will CAs face with increasing digital transactions? Why do we face ethical challenges with increasing digital transactions? As long as you keep your ethics in line of confidentiality, I feel nothing. I don't know if you can elaborate more on the question. I don't see any ethical challenges with increasing digital transactions. I feel keep your servers intact, keep your passwords to yourself, the basics. I think nothing specifically for chartered accountants there. Um, Generic cyber security, cyber safety is what will keep your data safe, confidential, and that's ethics. Do you feel continuous learning will become more critical in CA profession? I think continuous learning is critical, has always been critical in every profession. CAs, doctors, even the masons who work with bricks, or even for them, continuous learning is critical. So it's nothing to do with the CA profession. You have to keep learning. This great line by my favorite cricketer. At the age of 30, Sachin Tendulkar said, I am a student of cricket. He was then considered God of cricket, but he still came out and said, I am a student of cricket. I'm sorry. So who are we to say today that we have learned everything? Critical, continuous learning is always and always will be a great part. Uh, Last question, I think. Will traditional CA firms survive, or will freelancing and consulting dominate? Okay, so first of all, freelancing has nothing to do with traditional CA firms and consulting. Traditional CA firms in today's world who do compliance will not survive after the next 15 years. Very sure. Um, but then I've seen a lot of CA firms branching out to litigation. I've seen a lot of CA firms branching out to consulting, CFO services. CAs are going to survive. I don't know about traditional CA firms. I know chartered accountants. I know people. We are built to thrive and survive and face the most difficult times. That's what CA teaches us, is whatever the most difficult thing, you can do it. So with this, I can see Dr. Deepak Chanda has switched on his camera and my time is up. So that's it from me. Thank you very much. My name is CA Suyog Narvekar. I'll just slightly correct my introduction, which was given at the start. I no longer work with the startup. I work with a consulting firm, and my role is a very non-traditional role. I help close clients. That is loosely translated to sales. Not a lot of chartered accountants who do that today, but I do. I'm very proud of it. Great money. Again, a non-traditional CA role. That's it from me. Thank you very much. I hope you had some value addition out of this session. Namaste. Over to you, Dr. Chanda.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, CS. It's wonderful, sir. It's wonderful. I think the CS students must have gone through their clear assessment of their capabilities as of now. The students transition from theory to practice. So you have skills. This lecture would have pushed students to strive for their excellence in any field which they want to do as a CA and for the future of their country and for the future of themselves. So thank you very much for such a nice and such an extensive discussion. And really the questions were also very greatly effective, and you have shown them a personal approach so that they can be a better citizens, not as a chartered accountant, but as a citizens for a nation building, which is our motto of ICI. Moreover, this discussion, what I feel, has cultivated a growth mindset among the students who were a little bit of in a dilemma or in a confusing state, which we have clearly unlocked them, and hope this discussion will support them in their future endeavors. So with that, we wish you all the very best, and thank you for sharing such a effective discussion, which really have adapted them to bring some change to the society as well as to the profession. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. Have a
Thank you.
great day, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Anurag. Bye.
Thank you.